It's time for Talon Talk with the 2nd Combat Aviation Brigade on AFN the Eagle, serving America's best.
That is correct. Oh, he got the name right. We are AFN Osan, the Eagle, serving you America's best. My name is Army Sergeant Aaron Loy. It's 2:07 on this Wednesday, March 25th. Very happy that you're joining us here in the studio. I got a bevy of guests, all Armies, so I'm a little excited for this one. I get to not always be joined with soldiers here at an airbase. So I want to introduce my guests here. First and foremost, Army Captain Jessica Meyer.
Second to none.
Second to none from 2Cab land, as we like to say. And you've brought 3 different guests, and soon to be 4, to come in the studio.
Yes, I have actually brought the Diamond Club of 602nd Aviation Support Battalion here today, so they can talk a little bit about some soldier issues, some discipline, and volunteering and topics like that.
I like that, the Diamond Club. We are effectively, I think we're going to call that, we're kind of like a gang of sorts. So I'll kind of go down the line here. First Sergeant Fonseca, am I saying that correct, sir?
Yes, you are.
Okay, well, I appreciate you being here. What is your title exactly?
My title is the HSC, which is Headquarters and Support Company, First Sergeant for the Rough Riders.
Okay.
Rough Riders 7.
Well, very cool. I appreciate you being here. Where do you hail from?
I'm actually born in Chicago, but I'm actually from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania before I joined the military.
Oh, really? Chicago. I'm from Chicago. Do you have much experience there, or were you just born there?
No, I go there every time I go on leave. That's the place where I go.
Oh,
I
nice.
go back home, visit my family.
What part of Chicago?
North Side Chicago, North Avenue.
Hey, I'm telling you, I'm from the north side as well. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And then First Sergeant Red as well. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First Sergeant Red from Alpha Company.
And from Alpha Company, so you're the first sergeant there. How long have you been here in the Republic of Korea?
11 months.
11 months. And how do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yes.
It is a pretty awesome place. Are you here for a year tour, or are you here longer?
15 months.
15 months. Okay, so almost there.
Right.
Do you know where you're going next?
Yes, Fort Bliss.
Okay, very cool. I'm headed to Fort Bragg next myself, so I got a couple months till I leave. But where do you come from?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee. Okay, very cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. And last but not least, of course, First Sergeant Atkins.
Yes, Blacksmith 7 provide aviation maintenance support for the entire peninsula. Originally, I'm a Kansas boy.
Okay.
Not good old Kansas boy, and it's great to be here. Been here a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yes, I'm out of here this summer on my way to Fort Eustis.
Okay.
Wish I could go back to Fort Bragg.
Yeah, right.
Put that out there. Oh,
I know
yes,
you're sitting there kind of petting your airborne there, and you're
yes.
like...
80 deuce is what it's all about. Cool. But
Yeah.
right now, it's all about the Talon family, and it's all about the Warhorse family. So
It's true, the Diamond Club. That's what we're calling it, right?
Correct.
Okay, well, I appreciate all you guys being here. Ma'am, you were telling us we got lots of stuff on this show. Anything you want to highlight before we take our break?
Just one thing, for all Talon warriors out there and family members, check out the 2Cab Facebook page because we have the ball information out, so check that out.
And then we actually just got our surprise guest. He just came perfect time. First Sergeant Castro. You want to say hello to the audience? Let us know who you are.
Hello to the audience. I'm First Sergeant Castro from Charlie Company, 602nd, Champions, Warriors, Talons.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, I appreciate you being here. So we got a jam-packed show of Talon Talk for you. So please do not go anywhere. Or if you do, keep on listening. Got lots of show to go with Talon Talk. 2Cab land, second to none, 2nd Combat Aviation Brigade here at AFN Osan, the Eagle. My name is Army Sergeant Aaron Loy. I'm broadcasting live over the river and through the woods. Keep on listening. Appreciate you listening to the show. This is AFN Osan.
And now, back to Talon Talk on AFN the Eagle, serving America's best.
That is correct. Welcome back to Talon Talk. We've got I believe we're calling it the Diamond Club in the studio with me, and we love our acronyms in the military, and I'm looking at it. First Sergeant Fonseca, Red, Atkins, and Castro. So the Diamond Club FRAC, I guess, is what it would end up being if we put all those letters together. I appreciate all of you being here. In case you just missed the top of the show, First Sergeant Castro, you kind of joined us just a few seconds into the show. I know you guys are busy with lots of stuff. Where are you from again?
Sergeant Loy and audience out there. Again, I'm First Sergeant Castro from Charlie Company, 602nd. I'm a 25 whiskey.
Okay.
Just a telecommunications operations.
And if you're Air Force right now listening, the whiskey is for the letter W. It's not because you're a heavy drinker or anything like that.
That is correct.
Just to clarify.
Yeah, I refrain from alcohol.
There you go.
But anyways, I will be actually talking a little bit about the MOS, Military Occupational Specialty,
Okay.
25 Delta, which is a cyber network defender.
Very cool. I was actually talking about that in the station just the other day because of kind of the ISIS thing everything that came down and the names and everything. But I don't want to get on a crazy tangent about that. I just want to say welcome to the show.
All right, thank you.
Where is it that you hail from? Where's home for you?
My home is actually in Guam.
Okay.
The island of Guam, where America's Day begins.
Yeah, my dad was stationed there like 20 some odd years ago, so I lived there a very long time ago.
Wow.
But I'm not there. I'm here, and you are listening to our show. This is Talon Talk, and I want to turn to you for Sergeant Red. We want to talk about upholding and enforcing standards. It's something that sounds super military, and it is, but it's also super important. And I'm thinking to myself, we could do an entire show on upholding and enforcing standards. We really could. I mean, am I right?
We could.
We really could, but I'm thinking to myself, what's something that really has a good through line of all of those? Maybe something like discipline, right? Kind of military bearing, doing the right thing at the right place. Is that safe to say?
Yes, discipline is simply doing the right thing, even in absence of orders.
And what about here? What does that look like for you, maybe as a first sergeant, or maybe for the soldiers that you lead? What does discipline look like?
For here, it begins with inspections every morning before PRT.
Yeah.
And inspections is part of drill and ceremony that a lot of people seem to overlook. If you don't inspect, you can expect to fail.
I like that.
I believe the first line leader is the first person that a soldier should see every morning when they wake up, and
Yeah.
the last person they should see before they go to bed.
It makes sense because it's kind of that trickle down effect, right? Kind of know who you can turn to, or maybe you look to aspire to. And of course, if they're doing the wrong thing, then you're going to be more inclined to do the wrong thing, right?
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I very much agree with that. And in terms of discipline, it can be kind of a slippery slope, I would imagine. First Sergeant?
Yes, it is. One thing that I also tell my soldiers when we do our briefings before they leave
Yeah.
is very much we focus on discipline, which it could be more than just standing at parade rest. We make sure our soldiers understand, take care of each other as a battle buddy.
Sure.
And ensuring they take care of each other is also one part of discipline that I also talk to my soldiers all the time.
I completely agree. I mean, I think it covers so many things, and we maybe look at it in maybe too small of a box. Oh, well, I'm just going to be disciplined when I'm in, the line. I'm just going to be disciplined when the person's watching. But if you do that, you're only catering it to do it when people are watching, right?
Right.
We don't want it to be out of mind. What else for discipline? What does that look like to you?
Well, soldiers do one of two things: what we tell them to do, or what we allow them to do.
Yeah.
So if you have that soldier in formation that talks in formation, that chews gum,
Sure.
moves around, that's an undisciplined soldier.
Yeah.
And if a leader allows that, then I feel that leader is undisciplined as well.
Yeah, I think it's like the idea of enabling someone, right?
Right.
I mean, if we allow it, our brain says it's okay. And then probably the longer we do something like that, the more okay it's going to be in that soldier's mind. What would you say is the most common thing that comes to mind for you in terms of it's a slippery slope, or you maybe give or budge a little bit on? Is there something specific you can think of as a first sergeant you see a lot, maybe with some of the junior enlisted?
Just uniform corrections,
Yeah.
the biggest thing.
Okay. So if you're listening right now and you fall under First Sergeant Red, you heard it here first. The uniform. What about the rest of First Sergeants? Anything that jumps in you guys' mind when it comes to, discipline and enabling, things like that?
Yes, Sergeant Loy. In regards to discipline, my opinion, my personal opinion is
Sure.
actually this thing that we always say: standards and discipline.
Yeah.
The standards are all the ARs, the regulations, the FMs, all the publications that's actually out there. There's no need to create a second standard. If we just execute, everything that's outlined for us, all the guidelines, there really shouldn't be no issue.
Sure.
Actually, to question someone's discipline.
That's a very good point. I think we could probably all relate. It doesn't matter what rank you are when you're kind of thinking about that reg, and you're like, doesn't the reg say this? And then the other person's like, no, I think it says this. And I'm like, well, if we don't know it, like you just said, we don't know what to follow.
Right.
Well, it's going to fall in later on with talking about soldier development stuff, because
Sure.
the beauty of everything is like, we teach everything there, but we're also here to create free, not to take it the wrong way, but free, independent thinking leaders of the future to take
Sure.
our place one day.
Yeah.
And I say independent only in the sense that, hey, we could take minimal guidance and go out there and execute the mission.
Absolutely. Like we understand we want to do quote unquote the right thing, but also kind of what is a good thing as well. And it's good to maybe not necessarily challenge, but be open-minded as well.
Right, correct.
Yeah. So we do want to take our first break. First Sergeant, anything else we need to cover before we take our break here for this one?
No, just the small things is what get people killed. People say, hey, First Sergeant, those things are small. Don't worry about uniforms and all that stuff. It's the small things. If you overlook it here, it'll get soldiers killed in combat.
I'm having flashbacks to basic training just hearing those words. And there's a reason they implement it, right? We're becoming soldierized because when stuff may hit the fan, like you said, it comes down to being a soldier first. So I appreciate all you being here. We'll take our first break. We'll be back in 90 seconds with your weather.
And now, back to Talon Talk on AFN the Eagle, serving America's best.
Welcome back. My name is Army Sergeant Aaron Loy. Still joining me in the studio. We got Club Diamond, I think is what we're calling it. A bunch of first sergeants. Appreciate every single one of you guys being here. Fonseca, Red, Atkins, and Castro, which is kind of where we're getting the frack from. Team Frack, I think, is what we're calling it. But I turn to you. I got First Sergeant Atkins. I got a question for you. I've been here almost 2 years now, so I know the territory. I kind of know the ins and outs, how things run, etc. But as all of you guys know, people show up every single day, kind of wide-eyed, especially maybe they're coming from AIT and they really don't know much about the country. They might not know much about their units. What's a really good way that someone can really have a good segue into the country and maybe with their unit?
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out, glad you asked that because, as you know, like I said, every soldier comes on board, especially here on the peninsula. It's not be able to get around, and we don't want to set them up for failure. So what we've been successful with here in the 602nd is taking them in, we give them the initial briefings, the normal Army stuff that comes along with doing those initial briefings. But we do what we call a local tour program.
Okay.
It takes a whole day, a whole afternoon, but what we do is we tour every facility on post.
Oh, nice.
They go around and do that. But then the main part that we're getting at is when it comes to the off-post portion. So we take them to the front gate, take them outside the front gate, teach them how to use the local transportation system, the bus system, take them out to the Pyeongtaek subway station, teach them how to use the subway system, take them all the way out here to Songtan, the local Songtan Osan area.
And it's really not that hard.
No.
You just need someone to kind of hold your hand a little bit, show the ropes.
Exactly. I feel that it just shows them like, hey, we want to take care of you from the get-go, because it's all about legacy at the end of the day.
Sure.
What kind of legacy do you want to set when you leave the country, like you, us as first sergeants, things like that? And it starts from day one, from the time the soldiers show up here on the peninsulas.
And I'm going to wager here, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, as a first sergeant, does it kind of get under your skin if you see someone come and you don't have maybe a sponsor set in place, or that sponsor that really kind of takes them under their wing?
Yes, absolutely. I think it bugs all of us. Anyone want to chime in?
First Sergeant Fonseca, yeah.
Roger, I think we have a good system with that. From our S1 Human Resources.
Sure.
They contact us. In fact, that's what we're doing here prior before coming here.
Sure.
We have a system set in place. We want to ensure our soldiers, when they touch ground, the first thing they meet is a non-commissioned officer to teach them the right way, teach them how to be effective, and teach them how to enjoy the country. It's more than just some hidden veil. They can go out there, learn about the DMZ, learn about different places, more than just spending their money in the wrong ways.
Sure, and it's true, and you can even appoint someone at that point, but it's still kind of on their shoulders, even as an NCO, to either follow up on it or not.
Well, it's funny you said appoint somebody. Here it's a complete volunteer program, so we have junior non-commissioned officers who actually volunteer to do this.
That's awesome,
because they see the problems of not being received right, and the potential problems that can arise from not being raised the right way, I guess, for lack of proper terms. So that being said, also on top of that, we also introduce them into volunteering opportunities. Like I discussed with you earlier, back in the United States, you have to do 200 hours to be able to receive the Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal in the Army. But here on the peninsula, that time is cut in half.
Take advantage of that.
Definitely take advantage.
And there's tons of opportunities.
Absolutely, from local charities to local hospitals, orphanages, things like that. Just a ton of opportunities, even on post. People volunteer at the USO. Troops for Trash, all those great programs like that.
I plug COPPA all the time because they've got different stuff on this installation. They got stuff going on at Camp Humphreys as well. And like you said, you just kind of have to look for it. If you just sit around and maybe complain that there's not, you're probably not really looking hard, because I can think of 20 places off the top of my head that could use some volunteering.
Yes, absolutely. That and the travel opportunities. Wow, there's so many countries to visit. Even this time around, this is my third time on a peninsula, so I've already been there, and I try to tell them, like, hey, there's other places to go: Australia, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines.
Especially when it's not as expensive when you're already here, as opposed to back into the States.
Especially through the Better Opportunities for Single Soldiers program.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which is great, and I know Specialist Markham that's running it over there right now is a good man and puts together stuff all the time, so I know personally that that's being done. But again, I kind of pose the question to all of you as first sergeants. What would be kind of the one thing you would say to someone that showed up today? What's the biggest maybe kind of warning, if you will, you'd give them to them, or maybe best a bit of advice as someone who's been here more than a day?
What I like to do is I like to start with a quote. When we say every soldier, you're already a recognized leader or you're a leader in training. So I pointed this out. I don't know if you know who Max Dupree is. Max Dupree is a famous investor, wrote several books and stuff like that. But the quote goes like this: the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. In between, the leader is a servant. So you're like looking at me kind of crazy, like, what are you getting at? So
no, I'm just like processing it in my head.
Yeah. So putting a quote out there like that is like, as soldiers throughout our careers, we're always defining reality.
Sure.
So what we do with these new soldiers, I put a quote in, it's food for thought type stuff.
Sure.
So we make them think from the get-go. We all have our own individual quotes and way we do things, which is the beauty of it. But like this quote in particular, like I said, we always tell them to always redefine your reality, because reality is what it is at the moment. What are your left and right limits of whatever job that you're performing at that time?
And I hear something that kind of sounds like intentionality there, being intentional.
Yes, that's a pretty good vernacular you have there, by the way. I want to put that out. Vocabulary.
The DJing will do that to you. I just spend the off hours on dictionary.com. That's all that it works. But first, Sergeant, you look like you're kind of chomping at the bit there. What about yourself?
Correct. I have one too. I always try to make sure that the soldiers feel and understand they're just not a private or a PFC. I always told my soldiers ever since I came in, you are the Army. What that means to me is, if something happens with you at the gate, we want to have gate guard training. Something happens with your spouse, we have spouse training. So they are the Army.
No, that's a very good point. I think sometimes, especially speaking as kind of Army, so to speak, because we're the biggest branch, it can be easy to maybe sit there and think, oh, I'm just another number, or I'm just another soldier, and that's very much not true. We all have our part to play, right?
Correct.
Yes. It just goes back to pointing to, like I said, developing those free-thinking, independent leaders of the future. So.
Sure. First Sergeant Castro, you got something for us?
Yes, I do. There's one Sergeant Major once said here in Korea that whatever you're looking for when you get here, you will find it. And not to be on the negative side, but, if
it's
you
good
come
and bad. I can hear both, yeah.
Yes, it's twofold there. Pretty much there is a lot of opportunities, volunteer opportunities. That's the main one, like Atkins said there.
Sure.
Was one thing also with that is don't forget to actually sign up for the volunteer under VMIS. Get in touch with your organization point of contact and actually be recognized for that, for the individual and as well for the organization. But there's so much volunteer opportunities, and what I normally say to the soldiers coming in is there's a lot of things to do here. The one restriction that we have is, for the initial term soldiers,
sure,
the tuition assistance is actually taken away from them.
Yeah.
It's been given back to those, but just for a specific type of course, like cultural
sure.
courses and stuff for the folks here in Korea, as well as actually in Japan. So those are the types of things that we offer to the soldiers, that to keep them busy, to get away from all the different types of negativity that is around.
Well, I very much appreciate all the insight. It definitely does come from the top, and we do have to take a break, unfortunately, because we're coming a little short on time. But we come back, I'll get your thoughts first on Red, and then we'll dive into maintenance, DFAC, different MOSs as well. So we'll take a break here. We'll be back after this.
And now, back to Talon Talk on AFN the Eagle, serving America's best.
Welcome back. My name is Army Sergeant Aaron Loy, and joined by many first sergeants. I'm surrounded. I do my best to stand at parade rest and also broadcast DJ at the same time. I think I can do it. We've got Team FRAC here is what we're calling it. First Sergeant Fonseca, Red, Atkins, and last but not least, Castro joining us in the studio right now. But before we jump into that, First Sergeant Red, we wanted to plug your brain a little bit because we kind of ran long on that last segment. We were talking about different ways for people to come on, maybe things that you might tell your soldiers that first come here. What were your thoughts on that?
Yes, I would tell the first-term soldiers or any new soldier here, don't think of it as just being here for 1 year and not having the time to make a difference. 1 year is more than enough time to improve themselves and their organization. So I would tell them, don't count the days, make the days count.
I completely agree, and whether you're Army, Air Force, I mean, it doesn't matter what branch. I see it. I've been here for 2 years and I've seen it. People come and they mark that calendar and they're just ready to go to the next thing. And if you do that, you're going to overlook all the stuff you can do here. So I think that's really good advice. I very much appreciate that. And as we kind of wrap up the show in our final segment here, again, we could talk about this stuff forever, ever, and ever. But we want to cover MOSs, military occupations specialty, for those who have no idea what we're talking about. And there's different ones we want to highlight. The first one I'm intrigued about is 25 Delta. Is that correct? Is that the one? Is that the Cyber Defender one?
Yes, that is the Cyber Network Defender.
Not Cyber Network Defender. And I know in the news that came down in terms of this supposed kind of information from ISIS and certain military service members is kind of all over the news, and it's something that is real. And when I saw that come out, I was like, there's a reason 25 Deltas exist.
Yes, absolutely. The Army came out with this new MOS, and that's a 25 Delta. You will protect against unauthorized activity in the cyberspace domain and perform assessments of threats and vulnerabilities within the network environment. Soldiers now from any MOS with a background in information assurance and information technology are encouraged to apply for this MOS. The good thing about it as well is with all the cut down that the Army is doing, the different MOS, they're drawing down in those forces. It's also opened up to staff sergeants, sergeant first class, and master sergeants. Although there's certain stipulations as far as time in service and once awarded the MOS, retainability.
I think it's a very good point. I know there's a commercial running as well that I'll see kind of running on AFN, and they make that point that you might not know much about it, but depending on what rank you are, maybe how long you've been in, and with the numbers dwindling, as we know, it might be something that you might want to look into. Do you know if someone's listening right now and they're kind of perking up their ears a little bit and thinking, I want to know more? How would they find out more? Do you know?
Yes, you can actually go into the Cyber Center of Excellence actual website. Or there's a military personnel message 14-085, which has a lot of links, URLs on there for soldiers to go to and apply.
Well, definitely check that out. It's 25 Delta Cyber, Cyber
Network
Defender. Okay, well, that's just one. What about some others? Are there other MOSs we want to cover, or anything else that you guys have on your agenda for this one?
Roger, I'm going to be covering for my company, which is the headquarters support company. The two MOS I want to kind of hone on are the food service culinary specialists, which have currently competed for the United States Army Pacific Field Competition, Philip A. Conley.
Very cool.
And right now they're actually prepping and competing for the U.S. Army DA level competition.
Oh, wow.
Along with the other MOS I want to touch on is also our AMI, our mechanics also competed and actually won that in the recent year.
Oh, wow.
So that's actually one of the things about that is the Army Award for Maintenance Excellence. And they inspect more than just walking through the motor pool. We're talking about administration, the preventive maintenance checks and services. We're talking about equipment data and service packets. So it's being a whole total soldier concept in the motor pool, in the dining facility, along with our other MOSs, which are great as well. We have our staff sections, we have our support operations, communications section, human resources, all these MOSs compiled into our company, which serve great and all come together.
Absolutely. I mean, I said it probably, 2-3 times throughout the show. We could talk about these things forever because we really do like highlighting the many different people that make up our branches, our services, etc. We were all running a little short on time, so what I'll do is I'll take our last break here. We'll come back, do the weather, anything else we missed, and we'll wrap up the show. Sound good to you guys?
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Okay, we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. As we are running short on time, I'm going to fly through this one so we can wrap up the show. Right now, 55 degrees, hazy skies. Tonight, 29, clear. And tomorrow, 59, clear as well. If you want to get some money, some moolah, some cash, DoD Community Bank exchange rate, $1 equals 1,079 Korean won. And our exchange fuel prices, unleaded $2.58, premium $2.95. And the diesel, $3.04. So Team Frack, I've got the Diamond, I think, Brigade at this point. So we got all these first sergeants in the studio wrapping up Talon Talk. About a minute here. I wanted to give you guys a chance to do any shout-outs or anything that we missed.
Yes, I just want to do a shout-out to the champions, the Warhorse, the Talon, Warriors, Pacific Victors, AMC Humphreys, and last but not least, the Wifey.
Okay, First Sergeant Fonseca.
Mine, I want to give a shout out to my whole Rough Rider family over there in Camp Humphreys, all the soldiers that keep us looking great. Thank you.
First Sergeant Atkins, and then we'll go with First Sergeant Red at the end here real quick.
Shout out to the Blacksmith family, and it's all about your legacy at the end of the day.
Very much appreciate you being here. And First Sergeant Red.
Shout out to the Annihilators and all the awesome NCOs in the brigade that's making it happen every day. Just one thing, if you have two targets pop up at the same time, one at 50 meters and one at 300 meters, which one do you hit first? Obviously the 50 meter target because that's the one that poses the greatest threat. Always focus on the 50 meter target.
I very much appreciate that. We got 10 seconds. We want to do a premature congratulations to First Sergeant Red.
Sergeant Major Red.
First Sergeant Red is also, she is our senior First Sergeant promotable. She's not only going to Fort Bliss, she's going also to Sergeant Major Academy.
Well, very big congratulations. Appreciate all you guys being here. Thank you, First Sergeants.